Hello, my name is Jim McGillivray and welcome to the Pipe Box, your source for all things piping. If you find this video useful, please give it a like and please subscribe to this YouTube channel to see more videos just like this. We're going to go over some music today, and you can print out this music by going back to the description of this video on my YouTube channel. You'll find a link to a PDF there. Today I would like to talk to you more about the D grace note, and a very specific D grace note. In another video in this series, we have talked about the tachem, which is a D grace note played going down from one bottom hand note to another. What we're going to go over today is the D grace note going up from one note to another, what I like to call a rising D grace note. I think this is the trickiest of our single grace notes because you can only play a D grace note on the bottom hand, so there are always several bottom hand fingers moving at the same time, and this can be tricky. In other videos, I've stressed the importance of fingers lifting or hitting the chanter at the same time. The D grace note is no different. So let's look at it. For example, let's say I wanted to play a D grace note from low A up to B. So I'm going to lift the B finger and the D finger at the same time, and then the D finger is going to go down. Same time, down. Now, some pipers will do this a little bit differently. Some pipers will lift the D grace note first, then as the D grace note is coming down, the B comes up and they cross in the air, like that. To me, this is a bit of a minefield for crossing noises. If that D finger hits the chanter too early, you get a crossing noise. So I'm a believer in having the two fingers come up at the same time and the D finger going down. Let's say we were going from low A to C with a D grace note. Very similar. I would have these three fingers come up at the same time, and then the D finger and the low A finger hit the chanter at the same time. So, like that. Again, I've seen some pipers lift the D grace note up first and then scissor the fingers, but again, you're liable to get crossing noises. So, three fingers up, two fingers down. That low A finger may come down earlier, and that's fine. But again, make sure it doesn't come down too early or you get a little blip of a crossing noise in there. So, I have exercises for you. Our very first exercise is quite short, but it has all occasions of a D grace note played from one bottom hand note to another. Here's the exercise. If you've never played a rising D grace note, or if this is a problem movement for you, I suggest you play this exercise very slowly. As you know, if you've watched my other videos, I'm a great believer that you play an exercise as slowly as you need to in order to play it perfectly. Tempo will come. Never play an exercise faster than your technique can handle it. As you've seen, there's lots of fingers in the bottom hand moving at the same time, so there's lots of room for crossing noises and perhaps little technical flubs. The only way around this is to play lots and lots of good rising D grace notes. The next exercise gives us a great combination of D grace notes rising in various contexts. Again, we're going to be very careful about fingers lifting or hitting the chanter at the same time. Here's the exercise. Play this exercise slowly and play it dead round. Every note is the same length. Make sure your D grace note is clean and accurate, and make sure there are no crossing noises when you make your note change with your D grace note. My second point doesn't relate exactly to the D grace note, but you need to watch this in this exercise. Crossing noises from the second note in each group of 3 up to the third. For example, in bar 3, we go from a C up to a high A twice. Make sure you don't have a crossing noise between the C and the high A. This is a fairly simple exercise in terms of how pipe tunes go. I want to give you an exercise now that is a little bit more like a pipe tune. It's the same exercise, has all the same notes, but it has some pointing in it, so it's like a tune. Here it is. So this is essentially a 6/8 march exercise, putting your D grace note into a sort of simulated tune. You can count this exercise, and here is how you would count it. Oh, but D, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, with a long first note and a fairly short second note. 2 technical points to make about this exercise. Make sure the rising note is audible. Don't make it too short. One of the reasons there's a grace note on it is to tell you that this note needs to be clear and audible. Don't crush the D grace note movement as you go up. Secondly, and this is tricky, make sure when you go up from, say, a low A to a C up to a high A, that you close the D grace note. Some people, in an effort to make the note short, will lift the fingers and not quite get the D finger down again. And so instead of a C with a D grace note on it, we end up with an actual little D in there. So make sure your D grace note closes. And again, more than almost anything else, be vigilant for crossing noises. To me, the most difficult movement in this group of exercises is from low A to C with a D grace note, and it appears all the time in bagpipe tunes. So I'm going to give you a final exercise that specifically works the low A to C movement. Here it is. That exercise is a little tune simulation for your rising D grace note. It's quite reminiscent of a tune like Athol Highlanders. Second part of Athol Highlanders is full of rising D grace notes from low A to C. We also see them in 2/4 marches and in almost all other 6/8s. Again, as I often say, play this exercise as slowly as you need to in order to play it perfectly, and then play it perfectly many, many, many times. Perhaps for weeks, perhaps even for months. Never practice it badly. Never practice it without 100% concentration. If you practice it with mistakes, you will get very good at playing with mistakes. That's it for the rising D grace note. I have more on D grace notes in my Rhythmic Fingerwork technical tutor, which you can get from me or from any dealer. For me, Jim McGillivray, here at the Pipe Box, good piping.